Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm Peter Lavelle. We're going to talk about a great article that my guest, Philip Giraldi, former CI counter-terrorism expert, wrote titled Internet Resources Become Weaponized. I noticed that Facebook wasn't very happy with the link, and so it didn't let you use it, okay? Though I appreciate you putting out the entire text of your article in long form. Give us the thesis of what's going on, Phil. Go ahead.
Well, essentially, as I think you're suggesting, we're entering a brave new world or a strange new world. What's happening is the media, as in the Hillary Clinton failure to get elected, has basically put all its money on the Democrats and on Biden and Kamala. So they have a vested interest. They are feeling extremely powerful right now because they are again seeing their man in the race running way ahead. And they are starting to exercise quite blatantly censorship over opinions that are contrary in one way or another, or that might be damaging to the Biden opportunity to get elected. And we're seeing this more and more. And this did not happen so much in 2016. This is new. And of course, if Biden gets elected, he'll have a lot of people in the media that he's going to owe. And this is a destination we don't want to get to. The media tied in with government basically means that all alternative points of view are essentially going to be shut out.
Well, and the thing is too, the dangerous precedent that's been set is that, you know, we used to live you and I grew up in a country where the journalists held authority to account, okay? But now you have journalists watching, minding, surveying other journalists to stay in line, okay? I mean, it doesn't, you know, we used to think in terms of the state censoring, no, but we have journalists censoring other journalists, and we have corporate entities. Because, you know, I hear this all the time from the left. Well, private companies you can't accuse them of censorship. Only the government does that. Well, no, we live in a different era because these companies are monopolies, okay? They have monopoly power, okay? And they, even to the, in this particular election of the political left, not wants the support of these big tech companies, but they're also afraid of them because they know how much power they have, okay? And if there is a Biden administration, or as I like to say, Biden-Harris Biden administration, there's going to be no antitrust. I mean, because as you point out, there's going to be debts to pay. And then this continues to get out of control, and where any other views besides the standard accepted view, no other views will be allowed, and they'll be pushed to the side.
Yeah, that's certainly what's going to happen. It's happening already. I pointed out in the article the recent Hunter Biden case. Now, I don't know if those emails relating to Hunter Biden and to his father are authentic. You probably don't know either. But the fact is that the major elements in the social networking, in the news services on the web, basically killed the story. They jumped on it immediately to make it go away. They would not allow on Facebook and on Twitter anybody even to link to the story. And so here we have a major story. You know, however you feel about whether this is plausible or not is not the point. The point is that they are suppressing a story about which they know nothing, which they had no inside information on, but they had a political bias to do it. So that was one of the stories that I related to in my article, and it's just you know, this is frightening because this story, if it had out to be true, if it does turn out to be true, is kind of a story of corruption that will shift some votes.
Well, the interesting thing is that you and I have been talking about the Russiagate hoax for its entire existence, okay? And as I've liked to say over and over again, there are not very many Russians and not much of Russia in Russiagate. However, what makes this a little bit different outside of the ridiculous claims made by the left-wing media about this is another hoax, okay, another Russian disinformation campaign. What that makes this a little bit different, or really different, is that there are claims are being made about money transfers, wire transfers. See, that wasn't in Russiagate. Russiagate was anonymous sourcing. Okay, that's the be all and end all of Russiagate. It was just anonymous sources. But these money transfers are trackable. These are tangible things here. And if they did in fact happen, and I'm glad you're being cautious, I am very cautious about this. But these are things you can know, and I don't think there's anything wrong to know about it. Let's be very clear, Phil, also to our viewers. A lot of these things may not be illegal. Okay, let's be clear about that. However, if you're selling your name and selling your influence, people are going to want, they're going to want the payback. Okay, and I think that's the national security interest risk that is a fair thing to talk about. They did it to Trump for 3.5 years, for goodness sake. All right. So, I mean, it seems to me that you're obviously right. Well, I don't know. Maybe some of these people actually do know the truth, and they're terrified of it here. But at the outset, they want to be able to control all messaging, and that's very different than it was in 2016. Okay, and this is that chilling effect that I really worry about, because they haven't gotten away with it, but they're getting away with it. And we'll see what the end game is here, because if they do get away with it, then they know they can get away with it again, particularly if they have what do they call it these days? An ally in the White House.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, and I would point out that one of the interesting things is, of course, if you go into like one of these states of denial, as the Democrats seem to do with Russia, no matter what the issue, the fact is that you make the things that you know to be true also go away. Like, for example, we do know that Hunter Biden was getting paid $50,000 a month from an oil company in Hungary, while his father was involved with the U.S.-Hungarian relationship. Now, all right, it may not have been illegal, but it's unseemly, to put it mildly. And by emphasizing the fact that this new Wall Street Journal article is wrong, it's a hoax, they're kind of spreading the message that it all is a hoax, it's all untrue. And of course, that's not the case.
Well, I mean, the Trump orbit had a meeting in Trump Tower with a Russian lawyer. Okay, I mean, but there was no exchange, okay, whatsoever. Okay, and they were very open about it. But they dragged the country through the mud for months and months about something that was what they call now these days a nothing burger. But as you pointed out, if you look at Burisma and things, these are wire exchanges. Their money moved around. Okay, this is something that is real. Again, I really want to. I'm very cautious here. I'm not making any claims of illegality at all, but there's certainly one can protest that there's a lack of transparency, and that is very important for public trust.
Yeah, yeah, and also, as I point out in my article, this is kind of migrating into a more dangerous area, which is now we have the media actually, by virtue of banning people, blocking people, they're creating enemies lists. That's exactly precisely what they're doing. And I point out how Yelp, which is a site that many people are probably not familiar with. It's kind of a rating site that rates restaurants, it rates travel, it rates a lot of businesses, that sort of thing. Anyway, they have Antifa basically working with them on a list of fascist businesses, fascist, and as they put it, racist businesses. And these businesses are probably people who just are not going along with the standard left-wing line here. And these people are going to be put out of business or punished in other ways. They're being put on an actual list. And nobody's talking much about that. In fact, it's hard to find any references to it in the media. They're creating enemies lists and they're suppressing it.
Well, it's very clear. I think it was Robert Reich, the former labor secretary. I mean, he's pushing, at least I think on Twitter at least, he's looking for some kind of reckoning with all the people that were associated with that tragedy, that groundbreaking event, that ground zero event of November 2016. This looks like defenestration. You know, I mean, when you throw someone out the second floor of a building, okay, that puts a chill into the body public politic, because that's half the country, okay. And you know, as far as labeling these companies as being racist, it seems to me that a lot of very big companies have already paid their blood money, so they won't be touched. Okay, I mean, this is such a level of intimidation, something that was unimaginable in the country that I was born in, okay? And we have to remember there were people in the media and people in politics that shut Joe McCarthy down. I don't see anyone in the media or in the political sphere willing to take on this intimidation. That is invidiously different than we've had before in our history.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I thank you for your comment about Reich. Because Reich is basically saying that we want, like, South African style truth and reconciliation commissions, which will haul people like me and you and a lot of other people we know in front of them based on allegations that we said something that was racist 15 years ago. I mean, this is completely ridiculous, and this is the most dangerous day. People keep saying what a dangerous moment this election is. I think it's a dangerous moment if the Democrats get into power with control of the presidency and the House and the Senate, and they begin to implement some of these ideas. I mean, that would change fundamentally the United States and everything it stands for.
Well, on Crosstalk, I've talked about these issues here, and the political left always say, but that's democratic. And then I always say, I refer you to the Federalist Papers about the tyranny of the majority, because the founders knew that well, understood that well. And that's what I fear as well. Because of this reconciliation rhetoric here, it does not give any legitimacy to dissent, and that is not the DNA of what the experiment called the United States is all about. And that's where we are in these very troubled waters. Last word to you, Phil. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think again that this is really the most serious issue to come out of this campaign, and it's come out in all its clarity right here at the end. And I think people should be paying a lot of attention to it, because once you go down a certain road and you destroy fundamental liberties like freedom of speech, freedom of association, and that's what we're talking about here. Once you destroy those, they are never going to come back.
Yep, you can't come back. Okay. I always tell people, be careful what you wish for. Okay. Please. Okay. Because if you don't, then the law of unintended consequences kicks in. Phil, thank you very much for joining us here on The Gaggle. Viewers, if you like this, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be able to keep doing a whole lot more.